All right, so next up is... Would it be you? Oh, it would be. Oh, you guys are in for a treat. Norah Dooley, please welcome her.
Thank you. So this is just going to run continuously? Great. Good job. All right. Thank you so much. Hey ho, makes you feel so fine, picking all the apples in the bright sunshine. Hey ho, makes you feel so free, picking all the apples on an apple tree. Has anyone been picking apples? This is a story about Little Daughter and the Wolf. Now, Little Daughter lived with her mama and papa on a farm. And in the next farm, there was an apple orchard. Now, this being old in times, Little Daughter was told to stay inside the house whenever her parents had to go. And her parents would take all the vegetables into town to sell them, and Little Daughter would stay home alone. And Papa would say, Little Daughter, y'all stay right inside the yard. They had a nice little house in the yard with a nice little fence around that, and around that were all their fields, and around that were the deep, dark woods. Now, this one day I want to tell you about, Mama and Papa said, goodbye, Little Daughter, we're going into town. Y'all stay right inside the yard. You stay right inside the fence. And she said, why, yes, Mama, well, yes, Papa. I mean, what occasion would I have to be traveling? And they said, that's right, you don't, so stay put. But now I have to tell you something about Little Daughter. She loved apples almost as much as she loved her Mama and Papa, and she did love her Mama and Papa. So she was sitting on her front porch singing her favorite song. Hey ho, makes you feel so fine, picking all the apples in the bright sunshine. Can you sing that? Hey ho, makes you feel so fine, picking all the apples in the bright sunshine. Hey ho, makes you feel so free, sitting on the top of an apple tree. Well, she was just sitting on her front step singing that song to herself, and she noticed right outside of her gate there were some beautiful flowers, and as much as she loved apples, she loved flowers. And she thought to herself, my goodness, if I just went a little bit outside this gate, I might be able to get me some flowers. And I wouldn't really be outside the gate, I'd sort of be inside the gate. I mean, so she went right down to the gate, opened it up, and started picking flowers. And while she was there, she couldn't help but notice that there were some more flowers just across the road. And she thought to herself, well, what trouble would it cause? I mean, what problem could there be when I'm on the other side of the road? I'm practically inside the gate, which is almost inside the yard, which is where I'm supposed to be. So she went right to the other side of the road and she started picking those flowers too. And while she was there, she was singing her song to herself. Hey ho, makes me feel so fine, picking all the flowers in the bright sunshine. Hey ho, makes me feel so free, picking these flowers, look at me. And so she was picking flowers, and looking into the field, she could see these beautiful sunflowers, and she thought to herself, now what trouble could it be? I mean, what problem could it cause? When I'm in the middle of the field, I'm probably practically at the road, which is practically inside the gate. So she went right into the middle of the field, and she started picking those flowers too. Now, while she was there, she couldn't help but notice that down the hill a little ways, there was a beautiful little stream, and next to that stream were some gorgeous flowers. And she thought, I know, if I cross that stream and go through the woods, I will get to the apple orchard on the other side. Yes. So she went down there and she started picking those flowers, thinking to herself, I mean, when I'm down here, I'm practically in the middle of the field, which is almost right by the side of the road, which is practically inside the gate, inside the fence where I'm supposed to be. So she started picking those flowers too, singing to herself. Hey ho, makes me feel so fine, picking all the flowers in the bright sunshine. Hey ho, makes me feel so free, picking all these flowers, hey, look at me. But then, when she was down there picking those flowers by that stream, she could see a little ways into the deep, dark woods. There were some beautiful flowers that she had never seen before. And she thought to herself, you know what? You know, it's not so far into the deep, dark woods. I mean, I'm almost at the stream, which is practically by the middle of the field, which is almost at the road, which is practically, really, almost inside the gate where I'm supposed to be. So she went right into the deep, dark woods, and she was just studying on those flowers, singing her favorite song. Hey ho, makes me feel so fine, picking all the flowers in the bright sunshine. Hey ho, makes me feel so free, picking all these flowers, now look at me. When she heard right behind her the sound of a big animal moving like this. Can you do that? then it jumped right over her head and stood in front of her. It was a wolf. It was a huge gray wolf. And it stared right at her. It had big orange googly eyes. It had a big mouth full of yellow pointy teeth and a long red tongue. One of its ears had been chewed down in a fight. It had nasty gray shaggy hair all over it. And it looked her right in the eye and said, "Little girl." And she said, "Yes, sir?" And the wolf said, "Little girl, sing that sweetest song for me again." And she said, "Sweetest song? What do you mean?" "You know what I mean. Hey-ho, something, blah, blah, blah. Come on, sing it for me." And so little daughter started to sing for the wolf. And to tell you the truth, her voice was not quite so powerful. She sang, "Hey-ho, makes me feel so fine, picking all in the bright sun." But as soon as she started to sing, that wolf sat right down on his haunches. And as she sang a little stronger, he started to sway in time to the music. "Hey-ho, makes me feel so free, picking all the apples on a bright apple tree." And then that wolf put down his front paws, and he started to fall asleep. His big orange eyes got lower and lower and lower, and she sang slower and slower. "Hey-ho, makes me feel so fine, picking all the apples in the bright sunshine," until his eyes were shut. And then she heard a big wolfy snore. Can you do a big wolfy snore for me? That wolf was asleep. So she took one step back. She took another step back, and she turned around and she started to run as fast as she could. She ran and ran and ran right out of that wood. She hopped right over that stream. She went running right up into the middle of that field. And then she heard right behind her, whoop, 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 whoop. And that big old wolf was following her, and he jumped right over her head. Whoop, and he stepped right in front of her. And he said, "Hey, hey, hey, little girl, little girl." And she said, "Yes." He said, "Hey, did you move?" And she said, "Oh, my, no. I mean, what occasion would I have to be moving?" He said, "Okay, so good. So then, listen. Sing that song for me again." She said, "Song?" He said, "Come on, you know, blah, 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 sweet sunshine thing. You know, sing it." So she started to sing again, just like a lullaby. "Hey-ho, makes me feel so fine, picking all the apples in the bright sunshine. Hey-ho, makes me feel so free, sitting on the top of an apple tree." Well, that wolf, he curled around like a dog does when he's looking for a nice spot on a rug, put his big old mangy paws in front of him, put his nasty old head on those paws, and he fell asleep as she sang, "Hey-ho, makes me feel so free, sitting on top of an apple tree." And his big orange googly eyes shut. And then she heard a big wolfy snore. And she waited to hear one more just to be sure. And she took one step back. She took another step back. And she turned around and she started running. Woo! She started running right out of that field. She started running right across that road. She started running right up to the gate to her house. She got to the gate to her house, and she started, oh my goodness, the gate to her house, it was stuck. So she pulled it finally open, and he was coming right behind her, about to jump over her. But she got the gate open, and she, boom, slammed it shut right on his, nose. And he went running all the way back to the deep, dark woods, and little daughter was sweetest and goodest safe. Now, by and by, Mama and Papa came home, and Mama called little daughter right into the kitchen. She said, "Little daughter, can you explain to me where these flowers came from?" And little daughter said, "Oh, Mama, what occasion I had to learn to be good." So that's the story of Little Daughter and the Wolf. Hey-ho, makes me feel so fine, picking all the apples in the bright sunshine. Hey-ho, makes me feel so free, sitting on top of an apple tree. They come in yellow and green and red. Pick 'em in the morning and you pick 'em before you go to bed. You play catch with 'em if you throw 'em up high. Whoops! Oh, it's apple pie. Hey-ho, makes you feel so fine, picking all the apples in the bright sunshine. Hey-ho, makes you feel so free, picking all the apples apples in an apple tree. So thank you very much. That's the story of Little Daughter and the Wolf, which is actually a story from the African American tradition, which I changed to fit the apples that we have here today. We are mass mouth storytellers coming here to celebrate story, apples, three apple storytelling festival at 3applestorytellingfestival.org, or you can find whatever we do here and other places. You can listen to our stories online at massmouth.ning and find out about events with stories all over the state of Massachusetts. Also, let's have a shout out for Shelburne Farms for inviting us here. Yeah.
Can we get a big hand for Norah? Thank you very much.